Once upon a time, in a small village, there was an old abandoned water well that was very deep. It had been abandoned for a long time. No one used it anymore. The villagers would go to other places to fetch water, so this well was completely dry, and no one paid any attention to it. One day, a bee flew into this well. This bee was a worker bee, and he kept flying around the walls of the well in search of an exit, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not find one. He became tired and sat on the edge of the well and started thinking about his life. He had always been a hard-working bee, collecting pollen from plant to plant, flower to flower, working hard and never complaining. But today, after flying around the walls of that abandoned well for hours, he realized that if his life had been like that, well, all dry and no joy, he might have given up a long time ago. But something inside him kept pushing him to keep going. Something told him to keep trying, harder to find a way out. And because of that, he didn't give up. And finally, after a lot of effort, he managed to find a tiny hole in the wall of the well. And through that hole, he saw a ray of light. With the last of his strength, he flew towards the light and escaped from the well. As soon as he came out of the well, he felt a strong wind beneath his wings. He looked down and saw a huge storm coming towards the village. He knew that if the storm hit the village, it would destroy everything. All the plants, all the flowers, everything would be destroyed. And most importantly, the bee knew that his friends and family were inside the village and they were in great danger. The bee immediately started flying towards the center of the village. He flew over the houses, over the river, and soon came to the market square in the middle of the village. There, he saw a group of bees sitting on a flower. They were his friends and family. The bee wanted to warn them, but he couldn't just shout and say, "Hey, there's a big storm coming." That wouldn't work. So he needed a plan. The bee thought for a moment. Then he remembered the old abandoned water well. He knew that if he could bring his friends to that well, they could hide there till the storm passed. But the problem was that the well was abandoned. No bee wanted to go there. The well was dark, scary, and no bee wanted to go there. The bee thought for a moment. Then he had an idea. He went back to the hole in the wall of the well. He crawled through the hole and came inside the well. The bee started flying around the walls of the well, pretending that he was scared of something. He pretended that he was running away from something dangerous. The bee kept flying around the well, pretending that he was scared. After some time, his friends and family came to the market square and saw him flying around the well. One of the bees asked, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you pretending to be scared?" The bee said, "I'm not pretending. There's a big spider in this well, and it's chasing me. Please help." The other bees didn't believe him. They said, "There is no spider here. Don't lie to us." But he kept insisting that there was a spider and that it was very big and scary. After a lot of effort, he convinced his friends and family that there really was a spider in the well. Then he told them that he had seen the storm coming and that the only place where they could hide was that well. He said, "If we don't do something, the storm will destroy our home. We have to hurry." All the bees panicked. They didn't want their home to be destroyed. So they believed the bee and started flying towards the well. All the bees flew into the well and hid at the bottom. They huddled together for warmth and comfort. Soon the storm arrived. The wind howled, the trees swayed, and the rain poured down in torrents. But the bees were safe inside the well. They were dry and the storm could not hurt them. When the storm had passed and the sun came out again, the bees came out of the well. They looked around and saw that the storm had not destroyed anything. The plants were still standing and the flowers were still blooming. The bee who had saved everyone looked around and smiled. He had done his duty. He had worked hard to save his friends, his family, and his home. He had shown courage when everyone was scared. He had saved them all. But when the other bees saw this, they became angry. They were angry at the bee for lying to them. One of the bees shouted, "You lied to us. There was no spider here. Why did you do that?" The bee was sad. He had saved them all. But they didn't appreciate it. They were only angry. The bee said, "I'm sorry. I know I lied to you, but I had to do it. I had to convince you to come here. If I hadn't, the storm would have destroyed everything. You all would have been lost." The other bees were silent. They knew that the bee was right, but still, they couldn't forgive him. They said that if he had told them the truth, they would have worked together to find another solution. But he hadn't. He had taken the easy way out. He had saved them. Yes, but he had also lied. The bee was sad. He didn't understand why they were being so unfair. He had saved everyone. So why weren't they happy? He thought that they would at least appreciate what he had done, but they didn't. The bee sat down on a flower and started thinking about his life. He had always been a hard-working bee, But now even his friends and family didn't appreciate it. He didn't know what to do. Just then, an old and wise owl flew down from a tree. The owl had seen everything. He had seen the bee's struggle, his courage, and his kindness. The owl landed on the same tree and hooted softly. All the bees turned towards the owl. They all knew that the owl was wise and they listened to him carefully. The owl said, "I saw what you did. You showed great courage when you saved everyone from the storm. You put yourself in danger to save others. That takes a lot of courage." The bee was surprised. Someone was appreciating him. Someone was thanking him for what he had done. The owl continued, "Yes, you lied, but you did it for the greater good. You could see that there was a storm coming, and you wanted to protect your home and your family. That shows how much you love your home and your people. That takes a lot of heart." The other bees were silent. They couldn't say anything. The owl was right. The bee had saved them all. He had lied, but he had done it to protect them. The bee who had saved everyone looked down. He was ashamed of what he had done. He had lied, and that was wrong. But he was also happy that someone appreciated him. The owl said, "You should not be ashamed of what you did. You were just trying to protect your home and your family. Sometimes it takes a little creativity to do that. Sometimes it takes a little trickery. But what matters is that you did it. You saved everyone." The other bees understood. They had been angry at the bee for lying, but they hadn't thought about why he did it. They had been so focused on the fact that he lied that they didn't see the bigger picture. But the owl and the bee had reminded them that sometimes it takes a little creativity to do the right thing. Sometimes it takes a little trickery to protect what is important. The bees apologized to the bee for being angry at him. They thanked him for saving them all. The bee forgave them. He knew that they didn't mean it. They were just scared. From that day on, the bees all lived happily. The bee who had saved everyone became a hero of the village. He was known throughout the land for his courage and his kindness. And whenever a bee saw a spider in an abandoned well, he would remember the bee who didn't want to work and how he saved them all.